everyone, my name is Layla. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm coming at you with my July wrap-up. This is my third time trying to film this freaking video because I keep leaving stuff out, but we're just gonna see how it goes. If I mess it up this time, the video's not coming out. It's not coming out. Period. I'm not doing it again. But basically, let me just get you into my stats. So this month I read 11 books, 3,409 pages, and 7% of the books were audiobooks, 28% were physical books, and 64% were ebooks. And my average rating for a book was 3.45, which I think is amazing. Like, I am so happy about that, which means that it was a really good reading month. I only had one book that was below a 3-star. But I'm not giving you spoilers, so you're just gonna have to watch the video and see which book that was. I will get started on this, and I will let you know that this wrap up will be a little different from what you've seen from me before, because I will be matching all of the books that I've read this month to a piece of art, whether that is a song or a movie or a drawing or something like that, in order to recommend it to you. Like, if you like this, bam. So yes, to start off the month, I read books 1, 3, and 4 of Cora Riley's Born in Blood series. So I'm going to go through those books pretty quickly so you're not just getting like an outline of the whole series. So let's get started. First is Bound by Honor by Cora Riley. And in this one you follow Arya and Luca, who are from rivaling mafias. And they have to get married. And Arya has always been like a goody two-shoes, wanting to please her father. And so she knows this is the right thing to do so people will stop fighting. But she's also scared because Luca is said to be a very cold, hard man. Like, he's not a good guy. Like, he runs a mafia over there. No. So it is their romance. The problem that I did have with this book, however, was that I feel as though the focus was more on their bedroom relationship, and then all of a sudden they were in love with each other. And I just think that there are like steps to be taken before that weren't taken, and I just would have liked a few paragraphs saying how they were getting to know each other or talking and all of that stuff, because there's like one talking scene, but they weren't really getting to know each other. It's just like asking about mafia stuff. Yeah, it was really good though. Like, it was still good. I stayed up all night reading it. I finished it within 24 hours. So if you want a quick read, just read a Cora Riley book is what I'm saying. And I wound up rating this one 3 stars. And I recommend this book for you if you like the song I'm Yours by Alicia Cara. And I recommend it like for Luca, because the lyrics in the song are, "I'm mad at you for altering my mood and changing my rude," or maybe that's backward. But yes, so basically she's just saying, I wasn't planning on falling in love with you, and now here I am, and you suck for that. So I think that that perfectly describes Luca in this situation. So yes. Next, I decided to skip to the 3rd book of the series and read about Gianna, who is Arya's little sister. And basically Gianna said, I will never be in an arranged marriage. Ever. Like, I saw Arya do that. I will not be doing that. I do not want to. I will not. I refuse. And then she winds up in an arranged marriage, and she absolutely hates the guy, Matteo, that she has to marry. So it's about their relationship. It is enemies to lovers. I did have the same problem as the first book though, to where it focused on their bedroom relationship and then they were like in love. But yeah. Another problem that I had with this book was the way that Luca talked to Gianna and about Gianna, even in front of Arya, and knowing that she is close to her sister. Like, I am very close to my sister. Like, she is my best friend. And if anybody was to talk about my sister that way, I shut it down. Especially my husband. Like, bro, what? Like, I don't have a husband, but like, hypothetically, no, I would have shut it down. It made me really mad in this book. But again, this was a fun one, and I did read it within 24 hours. So, and this one had more like action to it, I guess. And I felt as though I could personally kind of relate to Gianna's character more. Not with like what she's gone through and all of that stuff, because I'm not in a mafia family, but with the way that she thinks and her attitude about certain things. Oh yeah, that brings me to another point. Gianna wound up like apologizing for things that she had every right to do. I'm like, girl, you had every right to do that. And then people were acting like she doesn't. It's like, but before I go on a whole rant, let me just stop there. tell you that I gave that a 3-star, and I recommend this book if you like the song Hate That I Love You by Rihanna and Chris Brown. It's basic, you know, you get it from the title what the song is about, and that perfectly describes Gianna's relationship with Mateo. The last book that I read from the Born in Blood series would be the 4th one, which was Bound by Temptation. And I like this one the most. I rated this one a 3.5, and we follow the youngest sister, Lily, who falls in love with kind of the enemy bodyguard. And she comes from a family who is pretty high up in the mafia hierarchy. So A, just a bodyguard doesn't cut it with her family. B, women are supposed to be like married off. They don't get to choose who they marry. And C, he is from the other side of the mafia. So all of that is like against them. It's also like an age gap romance. Like they meet when she's 14 and he's 20, but nothing happens until she's 18. So yeah, don't worry about that. But she does embarrass the heck out of herself when she's 14, and he's like, you're a child, get away from me. And I think that is hilarious, and I liked watching them like over the years, and then now I really just enjoyed their story so much. Like I smile when I think about it, and I think about it when I listen to the song Jetpack Blues by Fall Out Boy. Now this could be argued. Don't argue about it with me, because let me explain. I think about this song because it's like, baby come home, did you ever love her, did you know, did you never want to be alone? And it's like, yes, it is for this book, and especially for like the last bit of the book is what I think about for Jetpack Blues. So I recommend the book, I recommend the song, and now we'll move on. After those mafia books, I wanted like a more lighthearted read, and I wanted a Colleen Hoover book, because though I didn't make a wrap up for last month, I did read Verity by Colleen Hoover. It was my first ever Colleen Hoover book. I rated it 5 out of 5 stars. It was amazing. So I was like, let me try another Colleen Hoover book. And from the synopsis, I thought that this was going to be like a more lighthearted read, like your typical bad boy, and then he meets the girl and he has problems, all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, fine, I'll get that. But however, the synopsis did not really tell you what the whole book is about. It kind of tells you what the first half of the book is about, and then the second half takes a completely different turn that I did not like nor appreciate, simply because it got really dark and really sad out of nowhere, and that was not what I was looking for, and the synopsis did not tell you any of this. Basically, you're following Sky, and I forgot the guy's name, and the synopsis says that he comes in to town, construction, and he has like all these secrets that he's keeping from Sky and all of that stuff. And yeah, that is what the first half of the book is about, and I would have rated the first half of the book like 3 stars. However, it takes a really like dark turn, like I've said, in the second half, and it kind of turns the male love interest into a side character while she deals with all of this other stuff. And I personally wasn't feeling it. Like, it's no fault of the authors, it's just wasn't for me. I'm not going to call the book bad, because that is subjective, and just I wouldn't want to do that, because authors put in a whole lot of work into their books. However, I personally rated it a 2-star. I did not enjoy it. But I would recommend this book if you like this picture right here with the girl with her head down, and like the light is there and the light is on her, but she's not looking at it, and she's looking down, like she looks like she's dealing with a lot. And just, yeah, if this picture speaks to you, then read Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. Next was a book that I read for my Koreathon. There was a vlog for my Koreathon readathon, and this was an audiobook, the only audiobook that I read this month, and it was Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. And in this book, you follow the girl, sorry, I'm so bad with names, the girl who is a gumiho, which is a 9-tailed fox, and a boy who is a human, and they cross paths, and it is about her journey trying to find something that she lost that's very important to her essence as a gumiho. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail so that I don't give spoilers. And then her kind of dealing with the guy, like he is interested in her like immediately after finding out what she is, which is the first night that they meet. So if that sounds interesting to you, I recommend this book. I did give it a 3-star. I liked it. I just personally didn't feel like, wow, you know? So that's why it only got a 3-star from me, but it was still good. So yeah, and I would recommend this book if you like this picture right here. Also, I couldn't find like the artist names or anything like that. So if you guys just happen to know who like creates these pictures and all that stuff, feel free to leave it down below and I will add it to the description. Yeah, I chose this one because it seems as though the girl and the guy are in different dimensions, and though there's no like dimension change kind of with Wicked Fox, it can feel like they're from 2 different worlds because she is a Gumiho and he is a human, and how does that work? Like, she's gonna live for a very long time and he is like, so yes. Moving along, I read my first ever Mariana Zapata book, and I will never go back to not reading her books now. Oh my gosh. So I read The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, like I said, by Mariana Zapata, and it's a sports romance. So basically it's about this man, Aiden, and Vanessa. And basically Vanessa works for Aiden as his assistant, but she wants to quit her job, and he was acting like a real butt the last few weeks of her job, and she quits. And then like a month later, he's like at her doorstep, like waiting outside, and he's like, come back to work for me, I need you, blah, 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 blah. And Aiden is a football player, by the way. That is the sports part of this romance. And yeah, it's about their romance. And this book took a turn that I wasn't expecting, but I really liked it because it added one of my favorite tropes. It did. It added one of my favorite tropes, and I was so happy about it. I was like, yes. And this is where I discovered that Mariana Zapata's writing just speaks to me. Like, she is very good at the slow burn, and she's very good at organically growing relationships. Like, you can see why the characters love each other. You can see how they got to know each other over time and why they love each other with all of that. And I just like love that so much. And I rated this book a 4 out of 5. Oh, and the epilogue. Oh. I don't know why. I feel like the epilogues are sometimes my favorite part of romance books. But yes, so I definitely recommend this book. I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. The only reason it didn't get a 5-star was because the couple didn't get together to like the very, very end, and I usually like it when they get together a little bit earlier than that, but it was still a great book nonetheless. And for this book, if you've seen 2 Weeks Notice featuring Sandra Bullock, you know why I'm recommending this book to you, basically, because the movie is about this woman who's trying to quit her job, but then her boss really likes her, and he basically makes it to where she can't quit her job, and it's a romance then too. So definitely recommend the book and the movie. Next, I read the final 2 books in the Dark Elements series, which is right here. Stone Cold Touch and Every Last Breath. So let me talk to you about Stone Cold Touch first. Both of these books are by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and actually let me tell you about the first book a little bit, because I can't really go into the synopsis of the second or third ones because they're based off like the problems keep going downhill after the first book. So in this one, we follow Layla, who is half demon, half warden. If she kisses anyone, she will suck the soul out of them, and demons start coming after her, all of that fun stuff. And then in the second one, there is like more of a love triangle. You get a little bit of a love triangle in the first one, but not really. But in this one, you get like, I'm trying not to give any spoilers, but yeah, there's a predominant, it's like, had me rethinking everything for a minute there, because I was like, I'm standing where I'm standing when I first started this book. I was like, I'm not going to change. And then when I started reading this book, I was like, ooh, might be changing my mind. But yeah, and there's also like the fantasy element was really good in this book as well. These books are so floppy. I love reading from these books, and I love the writing, though there were a few times where I'm like, I don't think teenagers talk like that. Like, I'm a teenager, I would never say that. And I couldn't figure out if like the character Layla is just that dorky, or if they're trying to make it like that's something that teens in this world say. And this is like a modern world here. Like, this is our time. They have McDonald's, they have like all of that fun stuff. But besides that, I really did love this book. Like, I felt a lot of different things reading this book, and I went through it within 24 hours or 48 hours, something like that. It was a really fast read, and I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. I really did love it. And don't laugh at me for the song that I chose for this book, but since the love triangle and all that stuff, I chose He Could Be the One from Hannah Montana. So, again, don't judge me, because y'all know that you listened to this song before, and you know why. And though I don't think this is one of the songs that was from that time where Hannah / Miley had to choose between the two guys and everybody was stressing over who she's going to choose, but it still makes sense. Like, he could be the one, he could be the one, he could be the one, Like, she's thinking that for, like, a certain character, and here she's like, what if this is it? What if this is everything I ever needed? Now, like, and then the readers were like, what if this is it? So, yes. After that, I read the final book of the trilogy, which was Every Last Breath. She makes her decision about the love triangle, and she makes it, like, pretty early on in the book, which I really appreciated because I did not want it to be drawn out. And they're kind of dealing with the ending thing, like, oh, this could, like, ruin the world if this happens, and blah, 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 and we have to fix it. So, yes, that is what they're focusing on in here. And again, I'm not going to go into super detail, but if you like the song, If the World Was Ending, like, if the world was ending, you'd come over, right? Like that. I love that song, and I really think that matches the first part of this book. And then for the rest of this book, like, as for the romance, Stand By You by Rachel, I think it's Platt, but don't quote me on that, but I think the artist's first name is Rachel. Like, even if you can't find heaven, I'll walk through AGW hockey sticks with you. Love, you're not alone, because I'm going to stand by you. I really think, like, yes, that perfectly describes it, especially with everything that the characters are going through. They go through a lot in this book. Though I didn't like this one as much as the other two, it was a really good wrap up to this series, and I rated this a 3.5. Next, I read my favorite book of this whole month. I love this book so much. Like, nobody can tell me that this book isn't a 5-star. Nobody can tell me that this book isn't a whole 5 stars. And the book that I'm talking about is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. So I decided to give Colleen Hoover another try, because at that point I read a 5-star and a 2-star. And I was like, well, maybe I just like her more recent stuff. So I decided to pick up Ugly Love, which follows Miles and Tate. And basically, Tate is trying to have more of a relationship with Miles, because right now it's just like physical stuff. But he doesn't want to let her in because of what happened in the past. So you're kind of getting 2 romance novels in one, because it has like Miles' point of view in the past and why he never wants to love again. He's like, no, I'm not doing that ever again. And then you have Tate's point of view in the present, and I really love this book so much. Like, I love both love stories that we were getting. And like, also, it broke my heart. Like, once you find out why he doesn't want to ever love again, I like cried, and I never cry during books, okay? Never ever, never ever. My dad likes to joke and call me like Jafar, because like I'm just not caring and I don't cry. Like, he said, you didn't even cry when Mufasa died and blah blah blah, and I was like, no, I didn't, but I cried for this book 3 times. Like, I was using tissues and everything, and this book just made me so happy, and it like broke my heart and repaired my heart, and I was like, oh, and I could understand Tate so much, and I was like, oh, my heart was breaking for her, because, you know, she's like falling in love with Miles, and he doesn't want anything to do with love. And then also my heart like breaks for Miles as well, because he doesn't want himself to feel that, even with the good that comes from being in love. And it's just like, oh, yes. If this picture right here speaks to you at all, pick up Ugly Love. And I think this picture honestly means so much to me. I think it's so cute, and I think it really emphasizes the 50-50 kind of thing that's in relationships, like holding each other up and like that, like not necessarily being the other person's happiness, but like just doing your best for them because you don't want to see them sad. And yeah, I also, for this one I have two. So also to match Ugly Love, if you like the song Best Thing I Never Knew I Needed by Neo. You might have heard this because it's at the very end, like it's the credit song for Princess and the Frog, but it matches this so well because the lyrics are, you're the best thing I never knew I needed, but it was so clear, I need you here. And I was like, yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh, I will think about this book for a long time. I know that for sure. Moving on, I read my second Mariana Zapata book, which was Hands Down. And in this one, we're following a character from The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. And we're following Zach in this one. And also Bianca. So this is a second chance romance, which yes. Second chance hits different depending on the writing style. And this was, Mariana Zapata is one of those writers that she just writes it so well. And so, basically, there is a 7-year age gap. Zach is 7 years older than Bianca. But they did grow up together. It was her cousin, they call him Boogie, and Zach. And they all grew up together until she was like 17, and he just ghosted her out of nowhere. And like she was like in love with him when she was 17, and he just like stops talking to her, stops calling, stops answering her texts and calls, all of that stuff. And she's like, wow, okay. 10 years later, she's 27, he's like 34, turning 35, and they have to meet again. And not under the best circumstances, because her cousin, who's kept in touch with Zach, because that's his best friend, he's like, I need you to tell Zach his grandpa's in the hospital. And she's like, what? And he's like, I know. But if you're the one closest to him, nobody can reach him, blah, 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 blah. And so she like is back in his life, and she's like expecting like, you know, nothing to happen. But obviously this is a romance, so yes, I really enjoyed this book. Again, you can really see why the characters love each other and how they fell in love. And this book was freaking hilarious. Like, I highlighted, because I read this as an ebook, I highlighted all of the funny parts, screenshotted them, put them all together, and just sent them to my sister, and she absolutely loved it. She said, I love Zach so much, and that's just after reading the funny parts. So imagine if she would have read the whole book. I think that this is the type of book that's for everyone. Yes. If you like the songs All My Life, I forget who this is by. I think it's by like two men. But it's like, all my life, I pray for someone like you, and I thank God that I finally found you. It's like, and then also, this is a very different song, Still Into You by Paramore. You know what I'm talking about. Still Into You by Paramore. She's like, basically, after all this time, I'm still into you. And it's like more of a rock song. Still matches. Still matches. And I rated Hands Down a 4 out of 5. Now, the last book that I read in the month of July is Room Hate by Penelope Ward. And basically, this is about a woman and a man, and they both inherit the same house because it's the woman's grandmother, and the grandmother gives them both half of the house. And so they wind up like living together over the summer because it is a summer house, but he moves in with the girlfriend that he is currently dating, and there is history between the two of them. That's all I'm gonna say about that history. But yeah, and it's a romance between those two, and it is their romance, and it was hilarious. Like, there was a certain part, like if you saw one of my most recent vlogs, then you'll know that there was a part where the main character did something, I was like, oh! And then the love interest did something, and I was like, oh! It was a really fun read, but it did add a trope, like halfway through the book, that I don't like when that trope is used, but it actually was fine in this book because like it made things cuter. So I was actually fine with it. I wouldn't say that this book is like end all be all, the best book of all time, but it was really fun to read, and I got through it within like 24, 27 hours, and another quick read if you really want one, and especially since this was under 300 pages. Like, for real. And the song that I'm recommending for this book to match it is Obvious by Ariana Grande, which was on her latest albums, the Positions album, and it's like, no crap, got me right where you want me, baby. Could I be more obvious? And it's like, pretty much, that's them. That is pretty much them, both in the past and like in the present. So, yes. Whew, I've been talking for half an hour now, and I really hope that you enjoyed this wrap up. And thank you for watching. I post new videos every single Monday. As always, my Instagram will be linked down below, as well as my Barnes & Noble wishlist, my Amazon wishlist, and the links to a few donations that you can make to give others the gift of happiness. And I will see you next time. Bye!